Hey, onesies, Josh Williams here, and thanks for checking out this week's episode of the One Man Podcast. It's always free and available on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play Music, and many more, as well as on the web at onemanpodcast.com. So please, whatever platform you're listening on, like and subscribe. While you're at it, give it a rating, leave a review. Why? Because it helps the podcast, and I'd really appreciate it. How about that? What about social media? Search One Man Podcast on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube to keep up with what's going on there. Get a little extra content for yourself. And finally, to get in touch, please send your emails to contact@onemanpodcast.com. You send it, I read it on the podcast. That's the deal. Thanks for listening, guys, and I hope you enjoy this week's episode.
What's up, everybody? This is DJ Demers.
I'm K. Trevor Wilson.
Hey, it's Krista Allen.
Hi, this is Rick Mercier.
What's up, guys? This is Paul Verzi, and you are listening to the One Man Podcast. Yeah!
My name is Josh Williams, and welcome to the One Man Podcast, episode number 164 for Wednesday, July 1st, 2020. Happy Canada Day, everybody. In my country of Canada, of course. Happy July 1st to all my listeners and onesies outside of that. How's it going with you guys? How you doing, huh? I have been up to stuff this week. I watched a movie. I watched a few movies. Rewatched a few movies, but one of the new ones I watched X-Men Dark Phoenix. Whoa, I'll tell you about that. I watched a documentary called McMillions. What's that about? I had another bonfire, my buddy Mika's. Played through The Last of Us 1 and 2 again. And I started watching a couple new shows, huh? I even wrote a new bit, guys. I wrote a new bit. I'll tell you all about that. And I got the biggest dent done in my taxes. Did you play The Last of Us 2? Shut up. All right, guys. So here we go with the podcast. All right. Happy Canada Day to all of my Canadian onesies. Country's birthday. I think it was like the 163rd or something like that. Can't remember. Who cares? I could look it up, but I don't do research on the fly, guys. All right. But yeah, celebrations, nothing too spectax. It's funny. I actually wrote down. It's funny. I'm recording this late again. I have a regular habit of recording this late, so I won't even tell you what the actual date is today. But it's funny because I wrote down one of the notes and I got the hook. I got the hook in there. So this is basically, I'm only going to tell you up until the end of Canada Day. Ooh, in terms of my timeline, we're doing this all Tarantino style, where things have happened and we go all the way back to July 1st to tell you what happened before that. So let's get right into it. Let's talk about some fun stuff. So real quick, I'm just going to say I went to my buddy Mika's again and had a bonfire. That was fun. It was just myself, him, his wife, and one of her friends. And it really, it was nice. But it wasn't particularly eventful. I don't think we really did a whole lot. We just sort of sat outside. Mika and I had some drink. I spilled a beer on myself in the first 5 minutes that I was there. So I had beer all over my shirt and pants for the entire evening. And that was the most eventful thing that happened the entire time. It's not to say I didn't enjoy myself or anything. I just regular conversation, nothing to report home. And guess what? I got a fucking policy now at the One Man Podcast that I do not waterboard you guys with boring ass stories. I can't even remember what we talked about. Huh? How about that? All right. But it was a good time. Had a good time. Yeah. What else? So Canada Day, I actually spent with my mom. We played, it was funny. I spent the weekend, I went over to her place and, I told you guys on the last episode what I thought of The Last of Us 2, which was really just big. And I've since beat it a second time. And I think I'll save some of that, for next week's episode. But, yeah, I played through the first one with my mom on the weekend. She was interested. I was chatting with her about the second one, just kind of no spoilery, just sort of this stuff. And I was just like, you know what, if you're not doing anything, I'm like, I'll bring my PlayStation over and we'll burn through the first Last of Us game, so you know what the backstory is. And it's funny. I've played through that game so many times that I can burn through it in a few hours. So honestly, my mom was just looking for visitors. Now that we're allowed to actually see each other again due to COVID's rules loosening up, Yeah, I did that. So we burned through the first Last of Us game. She really enjoyed it. I don't know if I'd mentioned this already, so I'm just going to do it again. HBO is doing a Last of Us series. They got the director from Chernobyl. They got a few, or I guess a creative director, whatever. They got Neil Druckmann, who directed the game. Wrote and directed the game. They've got the guy who did a lot of work on the Chernobyl series that was really popular. They've got also apparently they got one of the directors who directed episodes of Breaking Bad. So like HBO's doing they're gonna do a real go of this thing. So and the main reason being, I even watched an interview with Troy Baker, who's the guy who voices Joel, the main character from the first one, and he was saying how the story of it is just so good that it really does need to be shared in other medium besides video games. Because if you're not a gamer, you're just never going to get a chance to experience it. And, it's not the be all and end all of storytelling. It's a really good story. And compared to a lot of the shit that's out there on television, this is one that's actually worth your time to watch and sort of evaluate. And then the second one blows the doors off of so many things. Again, if you're listening to this and you're any kind of gamer and you're one of the people who was influenced by the leaks, throw all that shit by the wayside. I've watched so many videos just describing the game and stuff since, and their thoughts and things like that. Like really anyone who's like, this game's stupid, it's woke, completely, incorrect. But whatever, who cares? My mom really enjoyed the first one, and we basically played through enough of it that she was able to get the idea of the first story. We sort of chatted about her thoughts on that one. It was cool. We did play the first game. We played the DLC, the downloadable content story called Left Behind, where you effectively find out information about Ellie, the main character, some of her backstory, and some things that kind of happened in time jumps during the first game. And it was cool. It won a bunch of awards and whatnot. From the gaming community. So, it was cool. We did that. And then we basically, so this was over like Saturday and Sunday. So I spent, Saturday and Sunday, I think it was like Saturday evening and then Sunday afternoon and evening. And it was basically, we played through the first game, we played the DLC, and then we played through, just the second part's hook. So we got part 2 of The Last of Us just started to the point where, zero spoilers, but something really significant happens in the first couple of hours, and it basically just gets you started and makes you, like I said, for myself, it was like, wow, I gotta keep playing this until the end. Not until the end. Sorry, I was just like, wow, I gotta keep going, because it just keeps grabbing more and more and more. But yeah, so I'm sure you guys are getting sick of me talking about The Last of Us. I will move on from it. But that's one of the things I did this week with my mom. It was great. It was a lot of fun. What else we got here? And I'd love to know if you guys have anything. Like I said, I mean, I mention this all the time. The email is contact@onemanpodcast.com. I'm saying this because I got listeners who are readers, and you guys watch TV and you watch movies, you play games and stuff like that. I get a lot of people who like reach out to me, via Facebook and just sort of make a recommendation or give me their thoughts. I would love for you to throw it in an email, because that way, if there's something that you really liked and you're really passionate about, it's not, when you email me, you're not just telling me, you're telling everyone who's listening. So you can share something that you really enjoyed and that you're really passionate about. You can sound as like as big a nerd about some of this shit as me, but I don't know. I dig this stuff, man. It's fun, especially during now that things are starting to go back to normal. That's great. Just over this COVID period, there was a lot of just kind of hanging out and getting a chance to burn through my backlog of games. But at the same time, just, kind of go through some shits that I thought was really cool. I watched X-Men Dark Phoenix. Oh my God, what a piece of shit movie that was. The X-Men movie's garbage. The first one, I'm going to put it to you this way. All right, let's just bang through it real quick. The first X-Men movie, this was before the Marvel Cinematic Universe. This was one of the first superhero movies that they did. I think I was still in high school when the first one came out, and kind of was the first movie I ever saw Hugh Jackman in. I'd never heard of that guy before. And speaking of Hugh Jackman, he's one of the characters that the whole fans are saying that he should play Joel in the HBO show, for The Last of Us. But it was the first time I ever saw Hugh Jackman. And like the level of like PG shit in the movies, like some of these Marvel characters are pretty visceral. Like, I mean, that's why Deadpool did so well, because it was like the first R-rated, superhero movie. Maybe not superhero movie, but the first R-rated like Marvel movie. And it did really well. And then of course the very last Wolverine movie, Logan, that one got an R rating, and that one also did particularly well, just because they gave the character, even though he's an old and decrepit at this point, they just finally gave him the ability to be like, yeah, that's what Wolverine's all about. He has fucking knives for hands. He can't fly. He can't, turn invisible or anything like that. He can't stop a meteor, but the guy can fuck you up with his goddamn Freddy Krueger hands. You know what I mean? So the guy can fruit ninja the fuck out of a backyard bar, but that's about it. You know what I mean? But so yeah, like when you put PG-13 on, it's like, can you punch people? And we'll maybe show that like your knives were in them too. But yeah, it was they were goofy. So the first X-Men, stupid. The second X-Men started to get a little interesting. They started to do a little bit of like Wolverine backstory, and then the third one, they just started murdering X-Men for no fucking reason. They already did the Dark Phoenix story in like the Femke Jensen Jean Grey one and James Marsden, and it was like, oh, they just did a shitty job with it, and it was stupid, and they just started murdering and killing off X-Men. It was just really dumb. Then they did X-Men First Class. They're like, hey, why don't we reboot the series? Amazing. You know what I mean? It was like, yeah, it was great. And X-Men First Class was a phenomenal movie. Again, one of my first, I think it was the second thing I ever saw, oh my God, Michael Fassbender in. First thing I ever saw him was Inglourious Bastards. He was great in that. But yeah, it was like McAvoy and Fassbender did a great job as Professor X and Magneto. And it was a great movie. It was fun. It was well done. They did a really good job. And then the second one is like, hey, X-Men Days of Future Past. Hey, let's take this one that's good and let's force the other fucking idiotic characters from our fucking universe into it. And that way it like makes sense, right? Like, cause it's like the old ones and then the new ones, and they'll go together, and we'll have all the young X-Men working with the older X-Men. And just, it was so, whatever, who cares? It's stupid. It was stupid. Stop shoehorning those old X-Men, the Ian McKellen and Patrick Stewart. Not that either one of them was shit. Just leave it alone. It's done. I mean, I swear to God, like there's like 8 movies total? How many times? And so you have the X-Men First Class, then you have Days of Future Past, then they did Apocalypse, I think they called it. I don't remember what the fuck that one was called. But yeah, X-Men Apocalypse, and then they decided to do the Phoenix again. And it was stupid. Every one of these movies, every single one of these movies is, for the most part, Charles Xavier saying to Magneto, hey man, what is it, like James McAvoy? Every single movie, he literally goes, Eric, they'll only see us as monsters if you go forward with this. And they're, don't worry, Charles. You had your chance, Charles. Now it's going to be my turn. It's like and then he puts on his helmet, right? Stay out of my head, Charles. Eric, don't do this. They have had their chance. It's so stupid. Every one of them is the exact same plot every single time. I don't know, whatever. I watched it. It was dumb. I don't remember if they killed any X-Men off or whatever. It was just like, all I gotta say is thank God it's over. Thank God it's over. Marvel bought Fox, so all of those Marvel properties come back. And again, this is just some nerd shit, my thing that I'm into, but it is over. There's gonna be no more Charles, Eric, please. No, Charles. Your time. It's just stupid. It's just stupid. But I was doing taxes, huh? I was getting all my expenses done. There's so many expense receipts. So I basically burned through like a bunch of shit. I watched Ready or Not again, which was the same movie I watched on the plane over to Scotland. I just threw that on the background. That was a fun one. Ready or Not. Yeah, Ready or Not, Here I Come, Hide and Seek. It's called Ready or Not Hide and Seek. They're playing hide and seek in the movie. Anyways, I watched this one I found interesting. All right. This one I found very interesting. I watched a documentary on HBO because I was dicking around on Crave and the HBO section. I'm like, oh, there's a lot of good documentaries on Netflix, but I think I've poked around. I can't say I've watched every documentary I want to, but docs are kind of cool because it's just info in the background. I can focus more on what I'm doing versus like, an action movie or something. I made that realization particularly early in the day after putting 2 movies on and getting almost nothing done. I was like, yeah, I better switch to something that's going to be less interesting. And I found a documentary called McMillions. Okay. It's an HBO documentary. And funny enough, like, I just thought it was going to be another thing about how like McDonald's is evil and they suck and all this stuff. You know, McDonald's replaces 90% of their beef with donkey meat and renames the company it's from 100% pure. Like, I don't know if you guys know that, but the company that distributes or ships, this is, you know, you'll have to fact check a little hard on this, but their company that delivers the meat is called 100% pure beef. And that's interesting because it allows for an answer. Like, I remember if you ask somebody at McDonald's, like, hey, what are the burgers made of? And they go, well, they come from 100% pure beef. It's like, yeah, they come from a company named 100% pure beef. Very, very interesting way of answering that question, right? They come from 100% from, oh, they're made with 100% pure beef. No, they come from 100% pure beef. So anyways, I thought it was just gonna be like another documentary about that. You know, oh, they're evil or whatever. Turns out this was a documentary about how, for a good 10 years, the McDonald's Monopoly, like $1 million winners, the stickers were actually like being given out to people specifically. Like somebody was stealing them and had this big scam going where they were like giving the McDonald's, $1 million stickers to like people that they knew, but like with different last names and distant relative that. And then how it started to spiral more, became this huge scam where this guy was stealing like millions of dollars from McDonald's. And he wasn't just stealing them and giving them away. Like the guy got like mobsters involved. So basically what was happening was, they at first, like it's like 6 parts. All right. And they're like about an hour long each. And it was really interesting because you had, like you're going, okay, you got McDonald's as the corporation. Well, McDonald's doesn't run their own promotion. They get a marketing company, not unlike the ones that I work for, to run their promotion for them. And that company was called Simon Pure. Was it called Simon Pure? No, it wasn't. Simon, I think it was just Simon Marketing. Maybe it was Simon Pure. So I think it was Simon Marketing, whatever, because I think I've worked for one called Simon Pure. Ooh, did they start another one and rebrand themselves? That would be interesting. Anyways, Simon Marketing is, I believe, the name of the company. I've worked for Simon Pure. Anyways, Simon Marketing did their Monopoly game for them, right? The only thing is that Simon Marketing, they designed it and how it would go and everything like that, but they're also not a printing company, right? They need to go to a printing company. So there's a printing company responsible for printing the actual stickers. So like they go through all this process of like, they spent some time trying to figure out, like the FBI got involved in it really early because they got like an anonymous tip that, somebody was rigging the McDonald's game. And then like, there was like this new FBI agent who was trying, he's working with this other guy, and like on a post-it note on one part of his desk, it said like McDonald's Monopoly sticker scam or something like that. And he said like that what he was working on with the other guy wasn't anything particularly interesting or whatever. So he's like, I just saw it randomly. He was like, hey, well, what's this? And then like, so the guy started to look into it and started to put some things together. And then he went back to the more, seasoned, agent or whatever, and was like, hey, well, look, hey, if you look at this, look at that, whatever. And then the more agent was like, hey, let me take care of this. Let me take this off your hands. Basically, the other guy had done a reasonable amount of he basically gave a little bit of clout to the claim. And now there was something that they were interested in. So they started like, connecting dots and seeing how like almost everybody who had won had some sort of connection. Like they knew each other somehow or whatever. And they started to build it from there. And they were trying to figure out, then they started to try to figure out, is it McDonald's that's responsible, or is it the Simon Marketing that's responsible, or is it the printing company that's responsible? And then they go through like all these different things where like they're telling you how everything's made and how secure it is and everything like that. And, and then they established, it was not McDonald's that knows, and it's not the printing company that knows, and it's not the marketing company. Like who's responsible for this? And eventually they find, that it's like the head of security for the marketing company seems to be the guy that everybody keeps referencing. Like all these people, they started wiretaps and shit like that. But they go into like how like one guy who was like affiliated with the mob, how he was getting the stickers, from this, head of security guy, and they would find people who wanted them, and they would charge them like $100,000 up front for the sticker. And McDonald's doesn't pay out, like, when you get your $1 million sticker, McDonald's doesn't pay you the $1 million. They, like, up front, they give you $50,000 over the course of, per year over the course of 20 years. And so these people have to pay like $100,000 up front, and then they're like, oh, but I'm gonna get my money over. And then they made this, the guys would say, like, you owe us $100,000 up front, and then you need to give us 25,000 of the 50,000 that you get every year. I think it was like only for like 5 years or 6 years, but the whole idea was like, these people would like mortgage their house to get these stickers. And then when they get the first, so they're basically getting 25,000. But here's the thing, is that they get taxed on that. So they were saying that, like, of the 50,000, they would end up with 35,000 afterwards. And then they had to pay 25,000 on top. So they were getting like $10,000 a year. And so they were like, it would take 10 years just to get their 100,000 that they spent back. And then they're like, and so everyone in the community is like treating me like I'm a millionaire now. I'm getting 10,000 a year, which is not that much. So they're like, they still need work, and everyone's like, you don't need work. You're fine. You got your millions, whatever. And like, they're talking about all the different people who got involved. They're interviewing all these different people. They're showing how they caught people, whatever. But the one thing that they kind of kept talking about, but never told you how he did it, was how did this guy, head of security, get these stickers? Because they were talking about the whole process, and it was impossible. And of course, they saved that little piece of information for the very end of the documentary. And I won't spoil it for you. If you want to hear it, send me an email and tell me to tell you. But it was like, they basically were saying that, like, again, this is not how he did it, but like they would have, two people watching the stickers at all times. There would be a bunch of people there watching them when they came off the printer. They would go into like a briefcase that would have, combinations, two different like each side of the briefcase would have a different combination, and only one person knew the combination each side. There's always two people with it, everything like that. And so it was this whole, like, how the fuck did this guy get these things? And again, they save it right till the end. So either if you have Crave, go ahead and watch it. It was very interesting. And you're like, what the fuck, is going on? But fascinating overall. But like, these people getting fucking scammed. This guy ran away with millions. Plus, it was honestly like a pyramid scheme, where it was just like everybody who's like, you got this big guy who's dolling out the stickers. Then you got these people underneath who are getting other people to find people who might want the million, and, cough up the 100,000 first. Cash, fucking cash. The mob was involved. Like, people affiliated with the mob who are like telling people like, hey, I can get you this $1 million sticker. The guy was telling people like, oh, hey, McDonald's doesn't care who the winners are. It's my job to pick the winners, but hey, if you want me to pick you, you got to cough up the money up front. And it's people who did know that they were part of a scam, people who didn't know, and you're like, well, how'd you not know? Like, it was funny, because like, there's like some of these recruiters were effectively like, oh, hey man, my buddy's getting a divorce and he just won this, but if he claims it, his wife's going to take half of it, and he doesn't want the fucking headache and all that. So he'll just take 100,000 for it. You give him 100,000, he's happy with that. He doesn't have to think, he doesn't have to worry, he doesn't have to pay taxes, just like all that. So some people thought like legitimately that they were, just lucky. It was a fucking nightmare. But interesting documentary. Like I said, like it's like the mobs getting into the fast food sticker game. You know what I mean? And it was like all the winners too were like the fucking hillbilly types. You know what I mean? Like people of Walmart. It was really, really funny. Yeah, it's I done McDonald's. I ain't never won nothing before, but I come from, this one guy was talking, he's like, I'm from South Carolina, and, and I tell you, all these people are really good. I've been all over the place in my life, beautiful people, and I'll tell you, I even been as far as North Carolina, and I got to tell you, the people in South Carolina, best people in the goddamn world, man. I tell you, it's like, oh, well, really traveled that one. McMillions on HBO documentary called McMillions. Very interesting. 10 years this scam was going on before they were able to put a stop to it. So interesting. And to see all the people who were like getting the money and how it came with them. Anyways, Very, 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 very interesting. I started watching only a 6-episode series called Good Talk with Anthony Jeselnik. It's basically like a 22-minute podcast, him across the table from another comic with little segments or whatever. So if you're a fan of Anthony Jeselnik, it's a fun show, but if you're watching it, you'll burn through it in 2 hours, and then that's it. But I believe he spoke, 6 guests were Natasha Leggero, David Spade, Kumail Nanjiani, Nick Kroll, Tig Notaro, and this sucks. Well, I can't remember the other one. Obviously wasn't that good. Kristen Shaw. Boom. All from memory. There you go. So yeah, Anthony Jeselnik's Good Talk, also on Crave TV. Just worth watching. I thought I'd throw that out there if you guys are a fan of his. I like his stuff, and it was good. But like I said, it's basically just like watching a podcast. It was just conversations with a couple little segments. Like I think one of the segments he did was like, "Is this? You got to tell me if this is Tim Allen or a Tim Allen impersonator." And he'd be like, and you're like, "Is that Tim Allen?" Like, and they'd play that and be like, "Is that Tim Allen or is that a Tim Allen impersonator?" And they're like, the sound would, and they're like, I think that's Tim Allen. It's like, wrong. That's a gorilla in the zoo. Like, anyways, just goofy shit like that. And I also started watching, I started watching Lights Out with David Spades. That was David Spades' talk show that 100 and some episodes on there. But again, it was just kind of like a 2-minute monologue at the beginning. They talk a lot about The Bachelor. They talk a lot about Kardashians and yeah, it's an interesting enough show. Again, these are things that I was putting on in the background while I was banging out my fucking expenses on my taxes, which I'm so glad I got finished. I am so close. As soon as Jason and I are home at the same time, I'm going to bang out my fucking taxes. But I went through so many receipts. Also, for what it's worth too, in case you're wondering why it's taking me so fucking long, I was doing my 2020 taxes at the same time, like the first half of the year. So while I was doing all those, I've been getting all of the other expenses done that I've accumulated this far. So it won't be that long at the end of this year. I'm going to actually try to make sure that at the end of every single month, I get all my stuff put into the system so that I will be done everything come the end of the year. I won't have to just sit down and just stick my face in paper. Boom. And what else can I tell you? I will tell you this. I wrote a new bit. I'm not going to tell you the bit because I haven't finished writing it, but I got a lot of the groundwork, a lot of the framework out of the way. I was thinking about it in bed the other night, and I was completely, everything was ready. I was starting to even fall asleep as I was thinking about it. And I'm like, I'll remember this tomorrow. It's funny, but I'll remember it tomorrow. And I was like, no, you won't remember it tomorrow. And it's really funny and you're going to forget it. So I forced myself up, paper, started banging out the ideas, and I got out of bed 3 different times at it. Like, as I wrote down what I was thinking, I laid back down. I was, turn it over again. I was like, fuck this. I had to back up and then writing all those ideas down before I forgot them. Back into bed, thinking about it, turn it over, new ideas. I was like, fuck, that's funny. Back down and written it again. So I was like, I just kept banging out this shit for a while. So it was interesting. It was interesting, and I'm excited that I actually got excited to write a bit. And get it out there. So once things start opening up, I'll be able to tell this joke, and I'll tell you guys how it goes. It's a mildly dirty joke, but it's more of a relationship. It's more of a men and women are different joke, but hey, it's a new fucking joke and I will take it. So that was the week that I had thus far, guys. I also got an email from a pal, Red, and, I was expecting her to email, about her horse, because I was talking about her horse there, and now she has sent me one. So I will read this to you guys and then send you on your merry way for the week. Vanessa writes, "Hey Josh, looking forward to having you visit in a couple weeks. We have been careful here and avoiding going out as much as possible. Much like where you are, things are starting to open up, but I don't see myself sitting on a patio or doing unnecessary shopping anytime soon. We even decided to hire a babysitter at the house for my son rather than send him back to daycare before he starts school in September. Just wanted to let your listeners know that you are coming to visit us is not out of us not caring for rules. We are very careful here and have a very small circle of contact. But figure that you have been careful too, and so why not? As for the pony, yes, I'm eagerly anticipating eating him. He is fattening up on hay and grass. He's 14 hands high, which is how you measure horses and translate to 1 hand equals 4 inches. Ponies are anything 14.2 hands and shorter. Despite being somewhat tall myself at 5'6", despite being somewhat tall myself at 5'6", being that I'm oh wow, how fucking funny is that? Red's actually calling as I read her email. I'm going to put her on speaker. Red, this is very funny timing. I'm literally reading your email to the listeners as you called. So you're on the podcast right now. I'm just holding the phone up to the mic. How you doing?
That's hilarious. I hope the quality is going to be awful because I'm in my car.
That's fine. I can hear you in the headphones. You sound all right. It sounds like you're on the phone with me.
Okay.
What can I do you for?
Oh, no, just calling to check in, see how you're doing.
I'm doing good. As far as the listeners know, if this is July 1st. Catching up on the podcast. We're not at the actual date that we are. Keep that a secret. I don't want them to know exactly how late this podcast is.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. No, I have my 20-minute drive to the barn, so I try and catch up with people during that time.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. That's exactly when I do my calls. And the funny thing is I'll call people, they don't answer. And then as soon as I get working on something again, that's when my phone starts ringing with everyone getting back to me. So it makes it difficult. Why don't I read your email with you on the phone? How about that? Does that work for you?
Sure.
All right. Sure. We're at the part where you're describing hands high on the thing here. So I just got past the part where you said you're eagerly anticipating eating him, which is hilarious. So you said, despite being somewhat tall myself at 5'6", being that I'm a slimmer build, I can still easily ride ponies. My pony is an Arabian, which have one less vertebrae and one less rib than other breeds, which allows it to have a shorter back to carry heavier loads than other horses their size. It's funny because Arabians are the most coveted horses in Red Dead 2. But it's funny, as soon as you start talking about having less vertebrae and less ribs, it's funny to me. I would feel like more bones would almost make you capable of doing more, but you take bones out and it makes you more capable?
Yeah, well, it's like, I guess I don't know much about physics, like the science of physics, but if you know about building bridges and things like that, obviously a shorter bridge can hold more load, right? So...
right? Question mark. I don't know. I know that at a certain point you start taking bones out, you're going to get significantly weaker. So I would almost want to ask, the universe, what is the perfect number of bones? Because at a certain point they start to make you worse.
You think about a bridge, the slats of a bridge don't hold it up. It's the posts, right? So you think about a horse and their legs are the posts holding it, strong. The ribs aren't holding.
Yeah, like a wiener dog. At a certain point, the length is going to be over cumbersome. I get what you're saying. I just think it's funny that the idea is you take bones out and it gets stronger. I'm like, you keep taking bones out, at some point it's going to get weaker. All right, that's just math. All right, I know I'm right on that.
Okay.
But I do get what you're saying. I totally know, because obviously the four legs, like you said, the longer the horse gets, the more it's going to, it will get weaker in those middle sections. Yeah. So yeah, I definitely get that. Thanks for just using logic. Okay. It would have been funnier if I was just stupid. All right. But now I know something more.
That's what happens when somebody else is on the podcast with you. And that's why it's the one man podcast.
That's right.
Otherwise it'd be boring.
Yeah. Well, it still helps. I'm still the one man in question. Everyone's like, the one man would guess. I'm like, yeah, well, I'm the one man we're talking about. This is the One Man Getting Smarter podcast. What else we have? You have Rufio is his name. From the movie Hook, which I guess that's the only time I've ever heard Rufio in my life. But his registered name is Amir Al-Adiyah, which means Prince of the Lost in Arabic. Is your horse a refugee by any chance? Is he hiding here under another name? Is that Amir Al-Adiyah?
They did find him in a random field.
Oh, really? They found him in a random field?
No, he had grown up in a field, not being ridden or any human contact.
Oh, did you give him the name Amir Al-Dayi?
Yeah, well, his original name from the people that I bought him was Amir, which means prince. But I won't like it more. So.
Oh, you cut out. Sorry, you liked what?
Oh, so I wanted the nickname Rufio. I felt bad taking away his original name, so I kind of just made them all fit together.
Is that what Rufio was? He was the Prince of the Lost Boys?
Yeah, he was the leader of the Lost Boys.
Right.
when Can left.
Right. I was trying to think of what's the Lost part, but yeah, the Lost Boy. So he's Prince of the Lost. And that's what did you have to Google what Lost or of the Lost meant in like Arabic or whatever?
Yeah. I Googled Prince of the Lost, and that's kind of, and then I like double checked multiple sources to make sure.
That's hilarious. Often horses have a show name or registered name, which is more fancy, and then a shorter barn name or nickname. It's the same with dogs. When you buy dogs and they're registered with like the Canadian Kennel Club or American Kennel Club, they have like their pedigree name, and then there's just whatever you call them. Like, it's funny because my dog Chase, they usually have like the kennel's name in front. So it's like his kennel's name was Rivendell. So he was like, so he's his, even though his name is just Chase, his pedigree, his official registered name is Rivendell's Chase the Dream. That's his name. Yeah. So don't worry. I have a pretentious name for my dog, for my registered animal as well. That's cool. That's very cool. What else you got? Many people think owning a horse is expensive, but it all depends on where you live and what you're expecting of the horse. I expect it to explain to me why it's missing bones. Olympic level horses can be upwards of $30,000 to buy and then are kept and trained for thousands of dollars a month. And that's kind of what I thought originally. Mine is just a low level competitive horse. So he was cheaper than some dog breeds to board and feed, than some dog breeds, comma, if I can teach you anything. And to board and feed him is about the same as a dog, I would say. And I is capitalized, Red. Sorry, it's all I'm going to have on you. You're going to be way more educated than me. Tack can be very expensive, but it's generally a cost that doesn't occur very often. So essentially buying a horse is like buying a car. You can have a basic A to B kind of car, or you can drive a luxury sports car. Depends on your preference and use case. The real expense comes in the time for training if you want your horse to be anything more than a lawn ornament. You have to teach them how to walk again. You're doing like physio with them. Just stand still. I am right now training him 5 days a week with about 2-hour commitment each time, but that should change to 3 to 4 a week once he's older. So that's where you're going right now. You're going to do your 2-hour training with him?
Yeah.
And you do that 5 days a week?
Yeah.
Are we gonna be training your horse when I'm there?
I'll have to go and visit him while you're here. Yeah.
Okay. Well, obviously I obviously want to come see him.
You don't have to.
No, I definitely want to come see him. I don't know if I'll do it every single day, but I definitely want to come see him.
I'll probably like adjust the days of it, like for when you're here. Like usually I go today's Thursday, so I usually go Thursday, but you're getting here on a Thursday evening, so I won't go. I usually don't go on Wednesday, so I'll go on Wednesday instead of Thursday.
Okay.
Kind of thing. And I go so my son goes to bed at like 7:30. So as soon as he goes to bed, then I pack up and head out to the barn. So I'm not really what I was realizing was that time that I was using between, I wasn't doing anything with it really. Like I was too tired to kind of like, I make excuses about working out, and then I make excuses about doing like additional learning for work because I've been working all day. And so really this time was kind of wasted anyways. So it's not, like extra work really. Fair.
And it's something you're excited about, which is great.
Yeah. And I get to like be outside and, especially in the summer, obviously in the winter, I might have a different thought about it. But,
well, it's hot as fuck right now. Are you dying in the heat right now?
Yeah, it's really hot too, but at least it's like in the evening, right? So the sun is going down and stuff. So, and out in the country, there's usually a nice cross breeze.
Right. Well, that's pretty cool. I think we should, I want to get to this, but I love the hang time on this one just because it's fun. It was funny in the email. For those of you still in horror, I'm not planning on eating my horse, but many, many horses are sold for their meat when they either retire from their first job. They don't even get a chance at a second job. It's one and done. Racing or competing, or their owner can't afford to keep them anymore. The meat is typically used in pet food, actually. That I knew. And they make the hoofs into glue or something. Well, don't want to make this too long. I'm still busy working, busier than before, even despite the pony. Looking forward to some vacation time soon. Happy Canada Day, and see you soon. Oh, perfect. Okay, Happy Canada Day. That's the episode we're doing here. I know that you sent this to me for next week's episode. We're doing the Tarantino thing, bouncing around time-wise. Yeah, I wanted to ask, what do you think the weight limit is on your horse?
I don't know, probably, I would say 200 to 150.
Yeah, not going to happen then.
Like, I don't know. Yeah, I think 200 is pretty much.
Yeah, I'm not interested.
It kind of depends what you're doing. If you're just walking around, then it's probably like higher, but yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm not. Yeah, I've never. I don't think I've ridden a horse shy of literally like a pony walking around. You know, being walked around at like some shitty, you know, the X or something in Ottawa. You know what I mean? So it's just like I was like, yeah, if you can ride this thing, and I don't mean like fucking ride, but just being able to walk him around. He's also not trained, so it'd probably be smarter to get on a trained horse than one that's not trained.
Yeah,
I don't want to fucking come home, Christopher Reeves.
No, he's trained-ish. Like, he just needs better training. Like, I can ride him, but for him to do what I want him to do, like, to be disciplined and, like, listen to me and stuff, like, I need to kind of start over at the beginning and establish, like, the foundation better and get him fit. Because right now he's not fit, so he gets really, like, anxious, I guess you could say, when I ask him to do something that's kind of outside of his comfort zone.
It's like outside of his comfort zone. I was gonna say, if you want, I can come slap him around for you.
Yeah.
Or we can give him like CBD.
So I have to build him up from the beginning, so he builds the fitness, and then with the fitness comes the confidence.
How many squats can he do? Sorry, it's just funny to me. I'm like, the idea of like, well, he's not training and he's not comfortable. It's like just someone coming around slapping a horse around. You know what I mean? Like an abuse. I don't advocate animal abuse at all, but I'm thinking like something that the horse wouldn't feel, but you have somebody who's just like slapping it in the face, expecting to do something. It's like he's got to work out more.
It's similar to training like a dog, for example. Like that dogs are pack bound, right? So
right.
Like they answer to a pack leader, right? And so you have to establish yourself as the leader of their pack, the pack of two, right? In order for them to listen and, you know, bond with you and, you know, not misbehave and attack you. And it's the same thing with a horse. You have to establish that relationship with them so that they'll listen and, you know, care about you and not like turn on you.
Do you? I'm already not going to like the answer to this question, but like, do you have to like hit him with a riding crop?
No, not often, and it's not like hitting to hurt. It's more hitting to like pay attention.
Yeah, but I know people, I know abusers who would say that. Listen, I'm not trying to hurt my wife. I'm just trying to get her to think. Do you know what I mean? I just want her to know what she's doing is wrong. That's horrible.
Yeah.
I know.
But horses do that to each other, right? So like when they're like my horse is going through that right now in his herd because he's new. He's figuring out where he stands in the herd, right? Like whether he's at the bottom or whether he's the top or in the middle. And so the current leader in the herd will nip him in the shoulder or in the butt to like get him to submit.
Right. Well, dogs do that too, with each other socially.
So it's the same thing when you're like training them. You'll tap them in the shoulder or in the butt because that's their common language. Do you know what I mean?
Okay. That makes more sense. I mean, I still don't love it, but it makes sense. And obviously they're biting each other. As long as it's not like McDonald's chickens where they're like... The
bites are way worse than like what I'm doing. Mine's just a tap and more noise than like the bites actually like, you know, can break the skin.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. Animals are more rough with each other than you know, that kind of stuff. It's just, you know, we've learned how to communicate and we have to find other ways of doing this. No, it makes sense. Like I said, I just thought like spurs are the same idea, I guess. Those seem like more barbaric.
Yeah, I like the spurs you see in movies. I've never actually seen those in person.
Yeah, like I think that's obviously an old thing that's gone now, which is great.
Yeah.
But just that
like,
seems
just
like more.
A little like bump that you attach to the back of your heel, and it's really blunt, and it's more just like to be added pressure.
Right.
And it's rare. It's supposed to be like rarely used, and only used by experienced riders. Like a beginner rider should never use a spur because they just don't know how to use it sparingly enough.
Well, and it's just, I would imagine it's the same when you snap the reins or whatever to get them to go forward. Is that just telling it something? Like that doesn't seem to.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Usually you don't use your reins to tell it anything. You use your legs, but.
Okay. That's something new. Well, why don't we'll save some of this for when I'm there, because you're going to co-host the podcast with me, I assume, while I'm there. So we can ask more questions and stuff like that. And I can talk about what I see and this and that.
Yeah.
Groovy. Well, you've almost helped do a little co-host action with me on this one too. That's great. It's perfect timing. Literally right. Not even like, hey, I'm about to read your email or it's coming later on. It was right in the middle of it. It's perfect timing.
Sweet.
Fair. All right. Well, that's the podcast. Red, what do you got coming up this week? Anything fun?
Well, I guess it's Friday Eve. So, ish, right? I don't know what timeline you're using over there.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely not Friday right now. No, it's Canada Day. This is Wednesday, July 1st.
What was I doing back in time?
No, that's actually really funny. No, don't worry about it. We'll leave it a mystery, because I know that I'm going to see you in not too long. So yeah, no, it's going to be fun. Yeah, that was the podcast. I got nothing else to talk about, so we'll throw it here. We'll have the music coming up in a sec. Red, if somebody wants to send me an email as lovely as yours, where do they send it?
Contact at onemanpodcast.com.
Booyah, you heard it, guys. Contact at one man. Yeah, exactly. You heard it from Red. The connection a little bit choppy there, but contact at onemanpodcast.com, guys. Send your emails about whatever you want, and I will read it on the podcast. Whether you want to eat your horse or talk about how many bones it's missing, anything at all, we'll read on the podcast, and I'll try to save them for when I'm with Red. And you know what? It would be really cool if you guys sent something that was, maybe either asking for advice or giving some sort of situation or a dilemma or something, and Red and I can do them together. It's always fun when there's two people, because
or a story about the last time you rode a horse.
Yeah, there you go. Anything like that. Yeah. Have you guys had anything, or you have anything else animal wise that that's interesting? Apparently chimpanzees rip each other's testicles off in combat. Like when they're in combat, it's like, well, it's just an animal thought I heard recently. Someone was talking about how, like, just they're very, very aggressive. So like chimpanzees won't just like beat their prey. They like, grab it and rip their nuts off and stuff like that. They're very, very aggressive. So I don't know, but whatever you guys want to talk about, send an email if you want. I always think advice is funny, or would you rathers, those kind of things. It's just a conversation starter, is getting people started with, you get to hear perspectives. Red, what's your favorite kind of porn?
How did we segue to that?
I don't know. I think it's funny. I was going to talk about it myself at one point, and I was like, you know what? I don't think that's, I'm trying to keep everything, at least make sense. Do you even watch porn? You don't strike me as someone who watches porn.
I think you should just end the podcast.
Fuck that shit. No, you should have just said, nah, I don't. I gave you an out and you decided not to take it. Why don't we save that for when I'm there? Just give me a yes or no. Do you even watch porn? Do you even watch porn?
No.
You don't?
No.
Liar.
No, I don't watch porn. Like, I have watched porn, but I don't watch
Yeah, it's not part of your weekly routine. Yeah, you're just not a porn watcher. So I'll ask John what he watches, because as a guy, I guarantee he watches it.
I don't know. We'll see.
I'll come up with something interesting. I just love, it's funny. Everyone who's listened to our podcast together last time I visited is always like, you put Red in like, you keep asking her questions and stuff like that. I'm like, yeah, it's fun. I like making people uncomfortable outside of their comfort zone with just ridiculousness. So, all right, listen, thanks for the call. I think that made the episode better, and I look forward to seeing you soon.
Yep. Okay. Peace out, friend.
Later, yo.
Bye.
And the same to you, onesies. Thanks for listening to the One Man Podcast. I hope you guys had a good time. If you want to help me make Red uncomfortable now that she's gone and can't hear what I'm proposing, send me emails. You know what I mean? Red's pretty cool. I've done podcasts with other friends who are like, I don't really want to talk. And it's like, well, then I don't know why you wanted to talk to me in an open forum, because that's the kind of shit that I do. I will talk about weird stuff. And again, I don't care. It's just to get people talking. I like to talk about stuff that gets people out of their comfort zone. And I find that you learn a little bit more about people. You know, when everyone's like, we should really talk about this thing that's happening in the news. Why? So that you can pretend to have the same opinion as everybody else, that every one of our thoughts and things are on the same keel as everyone else. Come on. Be a little original. There's no judgment here at the One Man Podcast from the regular onesies. The onesies are a community of amazing people. I got to say that. You guys are all fucking amazing. There's the odd person that might pop into an episode here, hear something go, I don't like that. That's not PC enough for me. But they're not a onesie. You know what I mean? The onesies are the ones who you guys know. You guys know what's going on here. It's a lot of fun, right? We're all just people just trying to get by and talk about the porn that we like. Guys, send me emails, contact@onemanpodcast.com. Would love to know what is going on with you. I cannot wait to talk to you again next week.